Good afternoon and thanks for joining us. I'm Judy Simpson. We've all heard stories about Paul Bunyan and his faithful companion Babe the Blue Ox. Well, modern agriculture may have replaced teams of horses or oxen with tractors, but that doesn't mean that working animals no longer work. If you've been to a county fair, you may have seen steer or oxen teams in competition. Think of it as the essential team sport. 4-H carries on this tradition through its Working Steer project. Teamsters from 8 to 18 learn by doing as they train animals, often 10 times their size, to work as one. Here's Across the Fence's Keith Silva with our story.
Bop. My lightning. Bop.
It's rare to meet someone who can claim to be a master of thunder and lightning.
My lightning. Bop, bop. Feels like I'm a boss. Feels like I'm like president or something.
The president of Thunder and Lightning?
Pretty much, because they're a lot bigger than me. I'm a lot smaller, but yeah, I'm still in charge.
Landon Campbell is a member of the Green Mountain Teamsters 4-H Club.
Pop. You over.
That's Lightning on the left and Thunder on the right. All three have been training together every day for the past year.
Come on, lightning. Pop. They listen best to the person who got them, raised them, drive them. Right. Basically, these guys will listen best to me. Step up. It really all falls down to who's with them the most and who drives them the most and who does everything the most with them, which is me. Head up, buddy. Boy.
There are 3 classes or events in 4-H working steer competitions: fitting and showmanship, cart class, and stone boat. Fitting and showmanship looks at the animal's condition, cleanliness, and grooming. In the cart class, the team maneuvers a cart around an obstacle course. Stone boat refers to pulling any weighted object, like a concrete block or a tire.
You can train them, but they will eventually get tired and thirsty, and they will want to quit. But that's usually a couple hours before they do. It's more of when I'm ready to quit, and they are.
Campbell uses what's called a goad stick to correct the team if they step out of line. But the majority of the training is done with voice commands.
How do you speak steer?
Just gotta have a strong and loud voice.
So, now easily, just like that. That was very good.
Helping Campbell develop his voice is the Green Mountain Teamsters 4-H leader, Terry Chamberlain.
We have to teach the kids to use a stronger voice, and meaning not necessarily harsh, but so you mean it. It's not just like you're lollygagging talking to your friends on the school bus. You're speaking a little harsher. You're speaking up, more firm, more aggressive. That is a very, very big lesson that I have to teach the kids. Some come by it naturally. Others, no. You really have to work with them to get that. You're the boss. This is how you're controlling these animals. Be more aggressive. Use your voice. Louder. I need to hear you.
On her back.
A little more.
On her back.
Chamberlain has a no-nonsense approach to teaching kids and animals, something she's developed over 25 years of being a 4-H leader.
Lightning back. Thank you.
At times, I teach the kid more than I have the child teach the animals. You're getting the two to work together as well as the teamster, so it's actually a team of 3. You have to get them all on the same page working together.
Oh, love
like that. Love them up. That's right. Tell them they were good boys.
Good job.
Vermont 4-Hers can compete in 3 working steer shows each year. Some of the fairs also offer open shows, which means 4-Hers compete against adults. For Chamberlain, getting to go up against a 4-Her she's taught is the ultimate test of her skill as both a teamster and a teacher.
It makes you feel good. You can say, oh wow, I actually taught them how to do this and watch them grow. But I usually give them a run for their money. I mean, that's the best thing as a teacher, to see your students beat you.
Come on, boys, head up.
Heads up, guys.
The Green Mountain Teamsters 4-H Club only meets once a month, so the bulk of the training and everyday care is the responsibility of the teamster and their family.
I like those bulls just as well as he does.
Mick Campbell is a former 4-Her. He and his wife are proud to have both their children in 4-H.
When I started 4-H way back a long time ago, I lived in Braintree, and we actually had a snowmobile club. My dad ran the 4-H snowmobile club, so I was part of it there. That's how I got initiated to it or started with it there.
Mick had to expand the barn and make sure his truck and trailer could haul 2 steer. Those changes were easy compared to another factor in taking on thunder and lightning.
One of the big issues for us when we started this was actually it was a safety issue, because as you see, these bulls aren't small. You know, these steers are fairly good size, they get big. And when Landon was little, we were just very cautious and concerned that anything can happen. They're animals, you know. So we were erred on the side of caution for sure, because just, a big safety issue with us. And as he's progressed and gotten older and gotten better with them and stuff, it's been kind of tough, but we've tried to pull back a little bit and let him mature and let him do his own thing, and he's progressing very well, and we are too.
Lightning.
Thunder and lightning tipped the scales at about 900 pounds apiece.
Whoa.
Landon,
Thunder,
not so much.
And how much do you weigh?
About 90 pounds, maybe.
So you're
95.
And you're pushing around these nearly 1,000-pound animals.
Yes, that's true. That's very true. Head up! Really? It doesn't matter what size they are as long as they behave. You can have animals taller than you, and if they behave, then they're fine.
Another safety concern of training working steers is their horns. Campbell says he learned quickly how to make sure thunder and lightning keep their horns to themselves.
Most of the time, they keep their head away from you, and if they do hit you, it's probably not on purpose. Probably because they're swinging their head around at a fly or something, and they didn't see you, and they nail you. Thunder, head up!
Campbell considers getting horned in the ribs by a 900-pound steer child's play compared to another responsibility of animal care.
Really, the hardest part is cleaning their stall out. Yeah, you have to clean up all the poop out of there, all the wet sawdust and everything, all the hay they throw on the floor and then they poop on, so you gotta clean it all out. That's really the hardest part. Bop.
In the barn or out at a competition, Landon Campbell has harnessed the power of thunder and lightning thanks to his family and thanks to 4-H. In Randolph, I'm Keith Silva with Across the Fence.
Thanks, Keith. Joining me now is Wendy Sorrell, the University of Vermont State 4-H livestock educator. It's great to see you.
Thank you.
Now, you get to work with 4-Hers who have all different kinds of animals. What do you think makes the young person decide to work with these animals?
Well, I happened to ask Kristen Skoda yesterday. She's at the fair, and I said, what drew you to have this team and want to work with them? And she goes, well, funny thing is, when I used to run through the barns at the fair, I was afraid that I was going to get kicked. So I would run through so it wouldn't happen, and my friend would go and pet the animals. Because then we got chickens, and so that was kind of easing her way into it. She goes, and then we got pigs. And she said, hey, Mom, let's get a beef cow. And her mom's like, absolutely not. We are not ever having cattle. Then she went to Gail Billings' farm and had the opportunity to drive a team of big oxen that Gail has. And she's like, wow, they're really listening to what I say and my commands that I'm giving. She said, and I can do this. So here we are today, and she has a couple of teams that she's working with now. So I think just the bigness of the animals and the awe and that they're youth that are actually in control of a team and can train them is huge for kids.
Now, he made, in the video, made look very easy to work this team, but I know firsthand that is not the case. I tried it myself, and they just took off on me. Yeah. They were not listening to me at all.
Exactly, because you weren't the one that had been working with them on a daily basis, and that's what a lot of the youth have to do. They might start with the animals when they're 2 or 3 months old, and they're working with them on a daily basis, even if it's just 10 minutes away. And as we saw in the video, Terry was like, love them up if they do well. And that creates that bond, so they will listen to the teamster who's in charge.
And so 4-Hers in horse or dairy projects often don't own the animals they show. Is that the same with working steer?
I think I've only seen it once in my 18 years here that somebody had actually leased a team, and you know, the leaders are very adamant on trying to get the kids to have a team so that they're not left out of that portion of the program. But probably 9 times out of 10 they own the animals that they are working with.
Now, are these steer a particular breed?
No, it's pretty much what's available or what the preference is. As we saw with Landon, he had a team of Dutch belts. I've seen Holsteins, Guernseys, There's currently a team of miniature Herefords. I just saw Dexters yesterday. So it's really what's available, you know, from the farmers, because they start out as bull calves. Of course, they're castrated at 6 months so that they, you know, lose that meanness gene, and you know, the growth is there.
And part of it too is that they look alike, which is got to be kind of the hard part, is to find two that match.
Exactly. And then when you have a breed like Brown Swiss or Jersey, it's a little bit easier. But when you're matching a team of Holsteins or Ayrshire or Guernsey, you want to have them coloration match as much as possible.
And so how many teams are there in 4-H?
I've seen between 8 and 10 that come to the 3 shows that we've had. There's 4 clubs currently in Vermont that are very active, but that's not to say that a kid couldn't join a general club and be in that project, even though other kids are doing different projects.
As you saw in the video, having working steer requires dedication beyond just the 4-H'er. I mean, obviously, his parents are very involved.
You know, when a youth joins the program, especially in the livestock, essentially the parents are joining the club with them, as we see with Landon's parents. They're very dedicated. They understand that it's not like going to a ball game where you're bringing your kid and they have a bat and a ball and a glove, and maybe that's the equipment that you need. When you're talking about a team of cattle, you've got to have the trailer, the truck, you've got the equipment, you know, to bring them. There's a cart, there's a stone boat, you know, to pull. So these parents are really, really involved in helping. Plus, on the weekends when the events are happening, the parents are essentially giving their day off up to support their child. So that's huge, and I want to personally thank the parents for all the dedication that they've given to help these kids in these areas.
Well, obviously they can see their children have this passion.
Exactly, because either they've been in 4-H themselves and they understand the value of the program, and they want to see their children succeed.
Now, record keeping is a big part of caring for livestock, of course. How does that relate to something that we always hear about with children in education these days, STEM learning?
Well, the STEM, the science, technology, engineering, and math, you can find that in any agricultural program. From the length of the goad stick, it has to be a certain length, to the weight of the steers. There's calculating that. There's lots of anything in agriculture can directly be related to STEM. It's just, you know, the physical being of the cattle, their skeletal makeup, you know, the breed, the genetics, anything you can tie back to STEM.
And so what are some of the life skills that these children are learning?
So the life skills that the kids are learning are empathy, sympathy, record keeping. We see
There's
the wheel.
A wheel of life skills.
There's a wheel of life skills. There's many of them. There's teamwork, self-motivation, character, healthy lifestyles and choices. Record keeping is a big part of it, because as adults you might not be recording your team and what their health and vaccinations that they've gotten, but you've got your finances that you've got to keep on record keeping. So there's a lot of non-traditional learning. You know, the traditional classroom is not how the kids are learning in 4-H. It's non-traditional. So they're absorbing this information, but not necessarily realizing, hey, these are life skills, and I will use this later on in life.
Well, not only that, but it's also, too, learning how to speak in front of people. I mean, that's huge, to be able to get up in front of people, explain your project, and then execute.
That's true, because in the fitting and show class you're all in together, but in the cart class and the stone boat for working steer, you're in there as an individual with your team. So you've got to speak up and give the commands to the cattle, but everybody's watching you.
So we've been talking about this particular program, the steer program. There's also dairy and horse projects that we hear a lot about, but what other animals and projects that are out there for 4-H'ers?
There's sheep, there's beef, goat is one that's up and coming. We've had a couple of
I know why. Goats are very popular.
There's also poultry, and dog is actually considered livestock.
Oh,
so
no kidding.
There's a dog club that was in Rutland, and so we support that program as well. So basically anything livestock.
And so if people are interested in learning more about this, or if there's some grandparents out there that want to maybe think about volunteering, what should they do?
They can either contact me at my number, which we'll show a little bit later, or they can contact their local 4-H educator. Maybe there's a club that they're familiar with that they can ask to join, or at least watch.
And even if you don't have the room maybe for an animal on your property, it's still worthy to look at the program, and there will be something for you to do.
Absolutely, because you don't have to have the animal to physically participate in the 4-H project.
So don't let that stop you.
Don't let that stop you. That's right.
All right, Wendy, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
That's our program for today. I'm Judy Simpson. We'll see you again next time on Across the Fence.